Good morning everyone. Last time we were completed with meiosis 1, and in meiosis 1 we saw that at the end of the meiosis 1 we are going to get two cells, and these two cells are going to be the haploid cells. Actually what has happened, there was separation of homologous chromosomes. So because of separation of homologous chromosomes, two haploid cells were there at the end of the meiosis 1. Now we are starting up with meiosis 2, and where this meiosis 2 is going to happen, meiosis 2 is going to happen in these two haploid cells simultaneously. So these two haploid cells are further going to undergo division, and these are going to give rise to two cells. Two daughter cells are coming from each one of them. So this cell is going to divide into two daughter cells, and the other cell is also going to divide into two daughter cells. Last time we saw that there was reductional division. From a diploid cell we get two haploid cells. That was happened in meiosis 1. meiosis 2 में क्या होगा, जो हमारे पास haploid cells हैं, that were the result of meiosis 1. When these haploid cells are undergoing meiosis 2, then there is equational division. Equal number of chromosomes are going to be distributed. That's why the daughter cells that are going to formed after meiosis 2, they are also going to be haploid. इससे आगे chromosomes का number reduce नहीं होता है. That is only going to be happening in meiosis 1. So that is like a equational division. And almost similar to mitosis. अगर हम माइटोसिस को और मियोसिस 2 को कंपेयर करते हैं तो माइटोसिस इज गोइंग टू बी लेंदी एज कंपेयर टू मियोसिस 2, but in mitosis we also saw that equational division is there, and in meiosis 2 also equational division is going to happen. But we are not saying that meiosis 2 is mitosis. We are saying it is sharing some of the similarities with mitosis, लेकिन meiosis 2 को हम mitosis नहीं बोलते हैं. The reason behind this is that why we are not talking about this meiosis 2 as mitosis. जब हमने mitosis की बात की थी, then mitosis was happening in a diploid cell. In a diploid organism, mitosis is going to happen in a diploid cell, and the two daughter cells that are going to be formed, they are also diploid. But meiosis 2 is going to happen in haploid cells. These are the haploid cells in which meiosis 2 is going to happen. That is the difference between meiosis 2 and mitosis. Another difference is, we have seen that in meiosis 1 crossing over was there. There was exchange of DNA segments between two homologous chromosomes. So the genetic material is not going to be identical to the parental genetic material. So because of crossing over, the genetic material is going to be different. It is not going to be identical to the parental material. Another difference that is going to be coming between meiosis and mitosis is that this meiosis 1 that was responsible for independent assortment of homologous chromosomes. So again there is difference of the chromosomes in these daughter cells because of the independent assortments of chromosomes. When chromosomes are arranging on the equatorial plate at metaphase, they were randomly assorted and randomly separated. So this is how meiosis 2 is different from mitosis. Now let's see when this meiosis 2 is going to begin and what are certain sequential events that are going to happen in this meiosis 2. So with meiosis 1 we ended up with two haploid daughter cells. Now these haploid daughter cells, they are going to take rest for few time, and in that the chromosomes again they are going to be loosen up in form of chromatin. condensation was, packaging of chromosomes was there. Now they are going to decondense. There will be synthesis or secretion of some of the RNA and proteins that are going to be required during meiosis II, but there is no DNA replication. DNA is going to replicate once before meiosis I. After that, DNA replication is not going to take place. So RNA and proteins are going to be formed. So chromosome is going to be decondensing to some extent. No DNA replication is going to be there, and in meiosis II there will be separation of chromatids. In meiosis I we were talking about separation of homologous chromosomes, but in meiosis II there will be separation of chromatids. Say these are two sister chromatids. So in meiosis II these sister chromatids are going to separate. So separation of sister chromatids, and these will be inherited to the daughter cells. Initially we were talking about two haploid daughter cells. So I am explaining only one of them. The second is also going to show all these steps. So both the cells are going they are undergoing meiosis II simultaneously. So we are showing one cell, that simply means that second cell is also undergoing same type of sequential changes. So let's understand. Now this is going to be when meiosis I has been completed. Now the cell is going to, after a small resting phase, it is entering into prophase, and it will be prophase II. Why? Because we are talking about meiosis II. So that is going to be prophase II. Now what is happening in this prophase II? Simply the same things are going to happen. That is very short in case of meiosis II. Here the centrosomes are going to divide. They start moving toward the pole because they have to form the spindles at the opposite pole. Ester rays are going to form. So let me label this. This is the ester rays. If this is a animal cell, ester rays are going to be present, and if this is a plant cell, ester rays will be absent. So these centrosomes are dividing and they are moving. The nuclear envelope, again at the end of this prophase II, this nuclear envelope is going to degenerate. Same thing is going to happen with nucleolus also. At the end of prophase, this nucleolus is also going to degenerate. That is going to happen in prophase II. There will be condensation. Here chromosomes were relaxed at the resting stage, they were decondensed. वापस से chromosomes condense होना start होंगे. They are going to be more and more packaged. So thickening is going to increase. Then the chromosomes, the nucleolus is going to disappear, nuclear envelope is going to disappear, and the centrosomes again start by dividing and again start moving towards the poles. Then comes our second stage, that is metaphase. After prophase we are reaching to metaphase. This is metaphase II. What has happened at metaphase II? The centrioles, they have reached to the poles. Ester rays are there and they have given rise to spindle fibers. These spindle fibers, or these are the kinetochore fibers which are going to attach to the centromere of the chromosomes. So here chromosome fibers or tactile fibers are going to be present, and a attachment is going to happen. Some of the continuous spindles are present that are just emerging from one end and adding on to the another end. Some are going to be discontinuous one which are going to be attached with the centromere of the chromosomes, and all the centromeres of the chromosome are going to lie in the equatorial. They are going to be arranged on the equatorial line, and simply they are going to form the equatorial plate. So this is how they are going to be arranged on this equatorial plate. Now if you remember, each of the chromosomes are going to have their ends that are having different genetic material, because they have undergone crossing over during when they were in meiosis 1, they have undergone crossing over, so might be their ends are going to have a different genetic material. So these are going to be arranged at the equatorial plane. Now again, what is going to happen? There will be segregation of these chromatids. These chromatids are going to separate and they are going to move towards the opposite poles. So again same thing is going to happen. Earlier this was the situation. These two sister chromatids, they were attached with only single this centromere. Now this centromere is going to divide. For each chromatid there will be one centromere, and with the help of interzonal fibers, these centromeres are going to be attached with each other. Now there will be separation of these chromatids at anaphase 2. So at anaphase 2, the spindles are going to pull these centromeres towards the opposite pole. Still they are connected with the centromeres are still connected with the interzonal fibers, but they are moving towards opposite direction, towards the opposite pole. The centromere is going to be moving ahead and the chromatids are just following the movement of centromere. So at the end of the anaphase, these are going to be present at two opposite poles. The chromatids are going to, remember here we are going to separate the chromatids only, the sister chromatids of a chromosome. So these chromatids are moving at opposite ends, and when telophase is there, these two, the chromosomes, they are going to be present at opposite end. Cytokinesis will start. There will be separation or distribution of cytoplasm. Again, that is reverse of prophase. Those that simply means the nuclear envelope that was degenerated in this prophase, again the nuclear envelope is going to be formed. Nucleolus that was disappeared, again nucleolus will be there. Spindles are going to disappear, so they are going to degenerate, or a few spindles are going to be formed present in this region, otherwise the spindles are going to be degenerated. The centrosomes, again they are going to be present at their position. Nuclear envelope is intact, nucleolus is there, the chromatids have separated, and by the help of cytokinesis, cytoplasm is going to divide and we are going to get two daughter cells which are again haploid. This was meiosis in meiosis 2 in one daughter cell. That was the end result of meiosis 1. Exactly same thing is going to happen in another daughter cell also. So two daughter cells are coming from this one, two daughter cells are going to come from the other one. So at last we are going to get 4 daughter cells which are going to be haploid in nature. That will be the end of complete meiosis, and in the end of complete meiosis, the end result is that a diploid germline cell has given rise to 4 haploid gametes, whether they are male gametes or female gametes, and now these are the cells which are going to take part in reproduction, or simply they are going to take part in fertilization. If someone asks us what is the importance of meiosis, so exactly what is happening in meiosis, this meiosis is very important source of variations, and that are very important for organisms that are based on sexual reproduction, that are going to show sexual reproduction. So here, because crossing over is occurring, because of crossing over, variations are coming, and these variations are important for the survival of a organism. The second important thing about variation is that here haploid gametes are going to be formed, and because of fusion of haploid gametes coming from father and mother, the new organism, the first cell of new organism that is going to be formed, that is zygote, this will be again diploid, and that is carrying exactly same number of chromosomes that are present in the parents or member of the species, other members of that particular species. So meiosis is important in maintaining the number of chromosomes of a species. Why it is so much important for the for maintenance of number of chromosomes? Because the integrity of a species is maintained by number of chromosomes. All the members of a species are going to carry same number of chromosomes. Like if I talk about human beings, Homo sapiens, then all the Homo sapiens that are surviving on earth, they are going to have 46 chromosomes. The chromosome number in some of the chromosomal disorders, the number is going to vary, but otherwise the normal Homo sapiens, they are always going to carry 46 number of chromosomes, and this chromosomal number is maintained by meiosis. It is a source of mutation also. It is important part of for variations, for sexual reproduction. In gamete formation, meiosis is involved. So this is how meiosis is important. Now let's understand a few types of meiosis. That is on the basis that at what stage meiosis is occurring. So type of meiosis, that is on the basis of when this meiosis is going to happen. First one is gametic meiosis. The name is suggesting meiosis taking place when gametes are going to be formed. The process of formation of gametes is known as gametogenesis. If sperms are being formed, the process is spermatogenesis. And if we are talking about the process of formation of ovum in females, that is oogenesis. So during gamete formation, as we talked about this whole process, during gamete formation, meiosis is going to occur, because of which haploid gametes are going to be formed. These haploid gametes are fusing together and they are going to give rise to a diploid zygote. That simply means now this zygote is going to develop into a new organism, and throughout the lifetime that organism is going to behave as a diploid organism. So this type of meiosis is observed in organisms which are going to show diplontic life. Diplontic life cycle. They are going to be diploid throughout their life. That is the result of gametic meiosis. The second one is zygotic meiosis. Most of the organisms, complex organisms like human beings also, they are going to show this gametic meiosis. Zygotic meiosis is going to occur in some of the lower organisms, where meiosis is going to happen at the zygote level. Zygote is going to be formed, and now this zygote is undergoing meiosis, and it is resulting into the formation of haploid cells, and the organisms are going to survive in haploid condition throughout their life. So these type of organisms are showing haplontic life cycle. So those organisms which are going to be haploid, their zygote is undergoing meiosis. That's why a haploid organism is going to be formed. The third one is sporic meiosis. We have learnt about classification. So in that we saw that some of the plants like bryophytes or pteridophytes are there. They show alternation of generation. In that two type of plants are going to be there, sporophytes and gametophytes. These sporophytes, they undergo meiosis, and because of these are diploid plants, they undergo meiosis, and because of meiosis happening in these sporophytes, spores are going to be formed. So spores are going to be the result of meiosis, and they are going to be haploid. Now these spores are going to be developing into gametophytes, and gametophyte will be giving rise to gametes, which again by fusion results into a sporophyte and the cycle is going to happen. That simply means that plant is going to have two forms, a diploid form and a haploid form. So these are the plants which are going to show a haplodiplontic life cycle. So there are three types of meiosis on that basis when this meiosis is going to happen. So that's all about our chapter cell cycle and cell division. We are completed with this unit. For next class we are going to start up with our next unit.